Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally podcast, and something a little bit different for this episode. Rallylegend is growing in popularity every year, and we look out for when the press releases and the entry list comes out to see who's taking part. And this year, with a really strong contingent of Irish crews go over to San Marino, for the event. And we also had a large number of spectators from Ireland go out, and we had Irish Corner, etc. So we thought it would be the perfect opportunity to catch up with some of the legends from Ireland who took part in Rallylegend. Kevin.
Oh, like what a joy I had to spend, talking to, the legends that went over to the Rallylegend. I spoke to Austin MacHale, Andrew Nesbitt, Rory Kennedy, Donagh Kelly, James Coleman, Gareth MacHale, and Graeme Nesbitt. Like, it really has to be on the bucket list, this event. Like the stories, the yarns, and then also, the photos and the videos we've seen online this past week or whatever now, almost 2 weeks now, I suppose, at this stage. It is unreal.
It is. I mean, look, it's a festival and celebration of rallying history. Nobody's there for the competition. They're there to see, the hooning around and the bit of crack.
Well, I think going to listen to these boys, the competition's there as well. There, that was they weren't being officially timed, but I think there was a few watches and things being clicked. But it's obviously old habits die hard. But we've seen the videos, we've seen the photos. And some of the cars, the Group A impresses, how all McRae's cars basically there. That was something else. Then you see, Jarri-Matti and Juha Kankkunen there in the Yaris, the absolute latest spec car, and Danny Sordo there in the Hyundai, and then you have Delta S4s, Quattros. I think for me, a rally nerd, that would be my nirvana.
Absolutely. We spoke with Frank Kelly a few months ago, and Frank described it, as what he would have imagined going to a round of the World Championship back in 1986 was like when you looked at all the Lancia Delta S4s and the RS200s and the Peugeot 205s all lined up on, getting ready to go on the start line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're so used to probably the kind of historic rallying here. It's all Mark II escort nearly. It's really, it's nearly a one-make challenge, but to see the variety of machinery that compete over there and the adoration, no matter whether you are the first car on the road or the last car on the road, the fans just seem to stay out in droves and seem to really appreciate every entry it's there.
Absolutely. And, considering it's a non-competitive event, it's good to see that, the manufacturers usually are represented at each year as well, whether it's been Hyundai in the past or, this year we had Toyota and Jarri-Matti.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And yes, there is the bunker side, but the lads were very quick to point out too. There is a lot of safety involved too. The stages are run in a very good way and all that too. Yes, there may be there's a photo that's been doing the rounds of two dinosaurs stuck, before the stage started, blocking the road, things like that. Yes, great crack and all that. But whenever the stage is live, there things are taken very seriously as well.
No, absolutely. Look, it is a privately run event. It's not regulated by the FIA or anything like that. But the FIA are there every year and they do assist, with regard to, the safety plan and that type of thing. But yes, it is a properly organized and well-run event, despite, how sometimes it comes across, on the fan videos.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And like we are in for a real treat. So I think just sit back and enjoy the next hour of banter and crack and slagging. And I didn't have to do very much. The guys done all the talking. So Rory, your first time at Rally Legends.
First time for me, Kevin. Yeah, I was delighted when Donagh said asked me to go and do the event. Rally Legends is it's an unbelievable event, incredible event. In fact, so much so as when we went there, we were running the Legend Stars section of the rally, and I didn't quite comprehend what that involved. But you learn these things very quickly when you're there. We were really there to put on a show, and it wasn't about the stage things. It was about how far sideways you could go around the corners and so on. And the rules were applied very well. They weren't applied at all, to be perfectly honest. But it was it was a complete eye opener, and it's totally alien to what we really used to. Staying within the time schedule of the rallies. That was all sort of set aside. But in terms of enjoyment, it was unbelievable. Hey, the roads, the crowds, the spectators, Irish Corner there. I think Graeme was there Graeme Nesbitt was there at Irish Corner, witnessed it, and it's unbelievable how many Irish were there and how well supported we all were, and it just goes to show what a rally crazy nation we really are, because there's no other nation like it that has such a thing as an Irish rally corner on the event. But anyway, it was an absolute pleasure to do and be part of, and it was great to see Austin there. Of course, Austin MacHale, I haven't seen him for a while, and to be behind the wheel of the Focus again, it was great to see him there, and all the MacHale family, and Andrew, James Coleman, Ray, and Andy, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And like Austin, you are one of the Irish rally legends. Like, what was the thought process in going competing in Italy, or in San Remo, I should say, not really Italy?
I suppose basically it was very new to us, very new to me. Never haven't done the event before. Spectators were unbelievable, and it's probably a case of you have to be cautious of if you want spectators around, etc. And most enjoyable on that end. Something we've never seen. We've seen some of it maybe in the Monty years ago, or some of them events, or maybe the Thousand Lakes. But the show they put on there was second to none. And I think the people that were there were ourselves, obviously, and Andrew, and all the rest of them with Donagh, you see, and Ray Breen, and obviously James. That made a huge difference, because it was a sort of an Irish event at an Irish crew, foreign event, an Irish crowd. Made it really worthwhile.
Yeah, and to get the family Focus fired up, and put on the helmets and get the countdown at the start of the stage. Nice feeling to be back that way again.
Yeah, it's most enjoyable. I haven't been out really. I used the car in one of the Deja Vus. It's Gareth's World Championship car, and I haven't really driven anything competitive since 2009-10 in Rally Ireland. But it's a good experience. Lovely car, very easy car to drive, and we went over with a small crew. We didn't need any repairs, or we weren't prepared for anything. But the car, you had no problems whatsoever, and it was really enjoyment to get back into it, and you really get the bug again to go back out again somewhere else, so we can get Andrew to come out as well in the Mitsubishi. So it'd be interesting,
Andrew, I would say after Rally Legends, it wouldn't take much convincing to get you back out again either.
Well, it was very interesting, because I got a phone call from the MacHale camp, and they said, look, you boys need to get back out again. And I phoned Austin, and I said, right, are we going to do this? Because Gareth and Aaron had been ringing, and he says, look, let me speak to Murphy. And so he rang Brian, and I rang James, and within 15 minutes we had the whole thing sorted out. We were going, and once we had the deposit paid, Graeme put my deposit in, and we were there. Before we knew it, we were in Italy, and what a place to go to. It's the maddest scene I've ever been to, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me. Hundreds of thousands of people there, and the corners were selected to the Italians and the Irish, and people from all over Europe, back to all over the world. I was speaking to people from Australia, but it was nice to see. It was nice to see Jimmy McRae out there as well, with Alistair and young Max and the whole Subaru team that appeared as well. And it was a real honour and respectful moment for the whole ProDrive organisation, I would say, because they put a huge effort into it. But for me, it was great to get out racing against Austin MacHale, my mentor and teacher, and he said to me along the event, he says, "You remember the first day you sat with me in Lurgan Park?" I says, "I remember it very well. You scared the life out of me." I was sitting in as a navigator at that time when Irish Rally needed funding for the insurance back in the day, and it was fantastic to have that reunion again with Austin and Brian, and more importantly, the whole family of the MacHales and the Nesbitts, and everyone met up together, and Donagh Kelly and Aidan and everyone that was there, Ray, everyone appeared together, and it was a super time.
And like, Donagh, your second time there now, the BMW, every photo you see there, she's getting into wilder and wilder angles. Great to be part of the event.
Yeah, look, we were kind of on a bit of a European tour, and it was our way of finishing it off on a high. And you know, as the guys have said, the atmosphere is something that you're so lucky to be part of it and witness it. I'm sure we could learn a lot from the event. Maybe there's a lot of things that they could take from us as well, but the buzz is just electric. And again, everybody talks about the Irish. The Irish representation was huge. You know, given the number of spectators. And like when you were coming up to Irish corner and you see nothing but flags, and even the next corner you see nothing but Irish flags, and you have everybody waving at you and cheering you on. So it's like you just don't get to have those experiences or moments in our domestic scene here, you know. So it's fabulous to be part of.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And like, James, not your first time there. You've seen the event grow over the last few years. It has become, I think, even more bunkers than what it's been in previous years.
Absolutely, Kevin. Yeah, it's funny. It was my fourth year there. I was trying to count it up. Really, was it 3 times or 4 times? I think it was there 18, 19, 21, and this year. And when I went there first, obviously in 18, I actually couldn't believe it, Kevin, being honest with you. It reminded me of nothing, and Andrew touched on it there, and so did Austin, of what we saw on television 30 years ago in Portugal, where you come out to a square left corner and there's no road, there's just people. And they actually open up and you go through and they close back in behind you. I genuinely never thought I'd see that in rallying in modern day. And it's the crowds from all over the world, as the lad said, including Australia. It's just remarkable. If we had our time back again, knowing what we know now for this year, we were looking in the Rally Village right beside the HQ. And quite difficult to get in there, but I insisted on it because we felt it was the place to be. And thanks to Craig, in the previous years, we always got into Rally Village because he was obviously classified as a superstar there, or one of the Rally 1 drivers. So we insisted on it this year again. If I had my time back and known for definite that all the lads were going, with Valeria, the secretary out there, I would have pushed very hard that we would all have got in to one particular section of that Rally Village where we could have all been together, rather than being split up a little bit, which was a pity. But what would shock you, Kevin, about the place is, like, we love rallying in Ireland, and we had an incredible following out there. And Donnagh's right, there was 3 Irish corners, 3 hairpins, one after another. I actually wasn't sure which one was the actual Irish corner. But so we had the handbrake on all of them. But passion, there's a love for rallying, there's a passion for rallying. And what shocked me more than anything about Legends this year, even more than any other year, the amount of people wanting to just photograph every aspect of your car. The funny thing about it is, whether it was Austin's Focus or Andrew's Mitsubishi or Donald's BMW or my Escalade, there was a Fiat 500 there as well, and there was a Fiat 127, and they were taking the same photographs of those cars as they were of ours, which is pure passion for motorsport. And it just, that's the only way I could describe it. It's just an amazing place, amazing crack. I was obviously well aware of what some of the lads weren't aware from 18. You can pretty much do whatever you want within reason, if you understand what I'm saying. And the more spectacle you can put on, the more you're loved there. And they make you put on the spectacle. And you come off the stages and the lads probably see it, you know, they're down on the road section and they bound down to you when you come off. Like, mad stuff, you know, and we're nobodies really. Well, I'm a nobody in rally terms out in Italy. Some of the lads have, to be fair, performed around the world. But when you see that going on, it's just fascinating stuff. It really is. You couldn't make it up, Kevin, being straight. You couldn't.
Yeah, and you touched on something there. Like, Craig was a fan of Rallylegend. It was his like happy place, I suppose you could put it. You know, it was all, you know, it's all what he loved about rally and all those old cars and all that. And to see the respect that they paid Craig over the weekend as well too, that must have been very special for the likes of yourself out there to see that, and for Ray and the whole family.
That was incredible. Yeah, they were handing out stickers which had Ken Block and Craig on them, you know, and like being Ireland, being a small place, rallying is a minority sport, even though it's a huge following. But to see the love they had for Craig, in fairness, a bit like Sean Kelly in cycling terms in his day, he was huge in Europe and he was known in Ireland. Whereas Craig in Italy, and obviously speaking fluent Italian, you know, he had a savage following in Italy, and he put Ireland on the map in Italy in a big way, and that obviously would have helped all of us as well out there. But I suppose something that rally legends have done and do, and no doubt the lads will agree with us, they have done the extreme opposite to what the World Championship have done. They've taken the rallying to the people rather than taking it away from the people. In World Rally terms, you go to a World Rally now, and on a Friday, the cars leave in the morning at 6 o'clock and you don't see them until that night at 8 or 9 o'clock. In Legends, they have cars all day, every day for the whole event, and they can feel them, touch them, kiss them, meet you. They can do everything. They've actually done the extreme opposite. If we get a balance somewhere with rallying in the World Rally Championship, and what Legends have achieved as regards bringing the rally to the people, it would be incredible if we could do that. And Donagh has often spoken about this, about bringing the rally to the people, and I would agree Legends was ultimate of that.
Yeah. And Graeme, your first time at Rallylegends, bringing rally to the people, you were one of those people in the crowd. Like, is it everything we look at and see on social media and more?
It was 10 times more, Kevin. I think for us going out, you know, there was an expectation that this was a crazy event. We've all seen the videos, I think, of Paolo Diana and the 131 sideways everywhere. And you know, we've seen it on YouTube. Obviously, Craig in previous years brought it to our attention back home in Ireland of what this event was all about. But actually going to spectate, it really, for me, exceeded my expectations. I think, you know, the Friday was the first day there for me, and all the cars lined up, Parc Ferme in the San Marino Olympic Village, where they have their racing track and like an athletics track, and they had, you know, whatever, 150 or 170 entries parked around the track, all 400 meters of it that you could walk around, get up close and personal, as James said, and get photos of whatever you liked. And if you look at what was there, you know, there was 7 or 8 Group A Impreza 555 cars, or 7 or 8 Stratos, Lancia Delta S4s, you know, everything from Group 4, Group B, Group A, and then all iterations of WRC cars, and then sort of some of the more crazy exotic cars that we also love in rallying as well, like the Pikes Peak car, or even James's Mark II there. You know, there wasn't normally in an Irish rally, you know, there's plenty of Mark IIs actually on that event. There wasn't, and it was a special thing to see as well. So, you know, I think for me going over, I didn't know what to expect, but I think I texted my wife on the Friday even, said, I think I've died and gone to rally heaven, and it really did feel like
that. Gareth, from your point of view, the dad out in the Focus, was there a wee bit jealous that he was getting to drive the stages and you were only able to watch?
Probably a little bit, but no, it was something there, Kevin, that myself and Aaron were talking about, and with Brian there, trying to get that out in the car, and really just came about there. Aaron was talking to James and a few of the other lads that had competed there in it before, and when we saw that the Irish contingent that was going over just was the perfect fit. So on a personal note, it was great for us as a MacHale family, because all the grandchildren went over as well, and see, you know, they know who their grandfather is and what he's done, and they've watched the videos and they've seen the press clippings and that. So it was great there to see him actually in behind the wheel and competing, and just alluding there to what Graeme had said, about the spectators and the atmosphere. We all flew in together on Thursday evening, and we missed the opening stage, the Legends Shakedown on Thursday. So thanks to Grace O'Brien, she gave us the pinpoint there for Friday evening where we went to spectate, and all I can say is it brought us back to watching the old Group B videos, that you used to watch at home. The cars were coming down, basically down the mountain, and it was into a bowl and back up the other side. And the atmosphere was electric. And as I turned to my own wife, and I just said, this is unbelievable. Delighted that we came for our own lads to see it. You know, there was flares going off. They had chainsaws that they'd taken off the chainsaw, and they were going with speakers. It was just unbelievable. And no, to see all the lads competing there was great. And yeah, to call it, it's definitely a memory made for life. And when we were all there together, like we're out there, we had food together as well. We're out in restaurants, Nesbitt, Donagh Kelly there, ourselves. We're all out, and it was a real good carnival atmosphere. And it was a very, as James said, they brought the rallying back to the people. And that's one thing that the WRC is lacking, that you can't get in near these special cars that are around. You have straight up through all from the 70s right up to the current WRC cars, and you can literally walk around, Kevin, and sort of get your picture taken or see exactly what it is and touch them. And I think that is one of the big draws of the Rally Legends.
And like Donagh, you know, like you started your collection up in Frosses. Like to go and look and see, is the bucket list increased after last weekend as well?
Yeah, I have to say, Kevin, in the world of collecting cars, I'm a nobody when it comes to when you get to San Marino, because some of the cars are just unbelievable. Like when you have the likes of an S4 Delta, which is worth about $2 million, and you have a guy absolutely welling it around the stages. You know, it's they're out using their cars and enjoying them. But it's fabulous to see such machinery actually still out there and competing in whether it's Legend Stars or the main rally. But yeah, and the amount of people that you meet there and you start talking to them and they start telling you about the cars they have, and it's just like, holy God, like it's just unbelievable the cars some of these guys have, you know. So yeah, for me it was it's great to mix in that whole circle and guys telling you what's available and different cars that are coming on the market, etc., you know. So but it's yeah, it's a collector's dream. San Marino, yeah.
And like Austin, for you know, you mentioned there that the night stage and going down through and the flares and all that. Do you get a sense of all that in the car? Do you hear the crowds and do you see the flares lit up? Is that something completely mad from inside the car as well?
Yeah, probably. I think on the shakedown thing on that Friday night was really spectacular. That was during the day, but on the stage on Thursday evening. I was remember down around the estate there, and Jarri-Matti was out first and going around the roundabout twice, completely broadsides. You know, it was spectacular to watch, to see it afterwards. But the night stage then on the Friday was very good. Yes, you would see the crowds, see the flares, and you'd see all the really good flash lamps or torches, and you wouldn't know whether it was a car coming back up the stage facing you or what it was, but it was something spectacular, really. And I think to drive around San Marino Grand Prix track, which we watched for years and years ago with the Adrian Sennas and the James Hunts and these lads in the Formula One, you know, it was nice to do that as well. So it's just completely different to me. Anyway, I've been around and done a lot of events, but there's something spectacular. And I think, as everybody's saying there, that they bring the event to the crowds, to the spectators, and they're so passionate, really. They really want to touch the cars, you know, and as James was saying, it's like Portugal years ago, but, fantastic that way.
Yeah, because you were rallying back in the 80s, whenever we had the likes of Ramelton Town Stage and Rory Kennedy Town Stage, and we spectators remember them things, but to go back and sort of get the vibe and get the taste and touch all that again, it must almost rewind the clock back for the likes of yourself there as well.
Yeah, I would, of course, and it's been back a lot of good memories with the cars. It was back in the 70s up to the current cars that they're all there, and I don't particularly like night stages. We wouldn't have an awful lot of experience of doing night rallying here, but it's always spectacular. And especially as Gareth was saying there, years ago in the Circuit of Ireland, be able to spectate, and the likes of Sally Gap and different stages like that with the cars we're seeing down across Mayo and Galway at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. you could see the cars coming for the spectators coming down the mountain, the lights of the basically and down to where they're spectating. I think it's much the same there, except the crowd are huge and much bigger, and the flares and all the rest going with it as well. I think some of the flares even landed on bales of hay. They were set on fire. And that was part of the spectacle, I suppose, really, in a way. And, fantastic.
Yeah. And, like, Andrew, like, we all know, like, there's the inner madman. Was it nice to get the opportunity and being encouraged to let the madman loose?
Is that Austin you're talking about? Okay. No, look, it was amazing. Both Austin and I talked about it. We hadn't really rallied competitively for a lot of years, and it was great to get the cars back out again. And believe you me, Austin was full tilt, particularly around that race circuit. You could see the car, the speed of the car that he was driving, and was right on it from the first second. So for me, it was a delight and a pleasure to watch Austin performing around the circuit, because I was fit to watch that. And for me to get the Mitsubishi out, which is an old Galley car, GG Galley, and we had a lot of Italians coming up saying, is this Galley's car? And I said, yes, it is. Oh, can I have a photograph? Can I sign this? And it, that whole added to the atmosphere. But the pace was very competitive. Donagh, James, I've been watching footage of your cars over the last couple of days, and look at you were full on it. Everybody was full on it, and for to be doing that for the crowd and for the Irish spectators was fantastic. And I would like to thank all of the people that arrived in from Ireland, particularly because they arrived to watch us guys, along with all the Italian counterparts. And it was great. It was one big family, and everyone was sitting down, talking to each other and taking time, which is most important. When we're back on the start line in Ireland, it's really competitive. It's all about the time between A and B. But for us, it was about showing off the cars, meeting the people, and getting to know our opposite numbers who we raced all those years ago. I was speaking to Latvala. He was driving the Yaris, and I said to him, "Oh, how are you keeping?" He says, "Yeah, very well, Andrew." He says, "The last time I raced you, you beat me in Armagh." How did he remember that? It often stuck in his mind. I think we took 28 seconds off him. But however, that's the way life is.
What stage is that?
We believe you. We believe you. We believe you.
Sorry, was that Austin that maybe at that time? I don't know.
Andrew, there were lads came up to us in service saying about the Mitsubishi, and we said Gigi Galli. He said, "No, that's Nesbitt. So who's Gigi Galli?" They said.
And Rory, for yourself, to get back into the M3 again, we talked about rewinding the clock. Does that, every time you step back into the M3, is there a wee party, does the mind drift back to your time with Bertie there?
Well, there's no secret, Kevin. I've said before many times that when people ask me what was the favourite rally car I was ever in, I always said it was the M3, the VM-M3 that we used in 1990 and 89 and 90, with Bertie way back in the day. I'm sure Austin would probably agree with that as well. One of the best cars we ever had. So then when all these years pass and Donagh came to me or called me up one day and said, "Would you fancy doing Killarney in that M3?" I didn't even have to think about it. I was so delighted to be able to go back and do that. And as you can see from the videos there that have been shown all week and so on, we certainly had a time of our lives in Rally Legends, and there wasn't a corner that we didn't try and get full of the rack, but quite often we were full of the rack anyway. But it's an amazing car, and it's Rally Legends, amazing event to go to and do. And like Donagh drives the car very well and very spectacularly. So it's to me, anyway, it's the closest to my heart, if you like, in terms of rally cars. But something else, Kevin, about Rally Legends, as Austin said there, and Andrew said, we got to do the Misano racetrack or race circuit as well, which is used for the MotoGP. And we had the stage was actually 12 k's long, and it was like 4 or 5 cars on the track at any one time, and we're always all together, and we're diving down the inside and diving around the outside and down into chicanes trying to outbrake one another. Like, it really was a highlight. Sometimes rally drivers and racetracks don't go together. But in particular on that night, of course, they did it at night time as well. It was an amazing experience. And we did the circuit 3 different laps, and everybody, all the drivers, Andrew, Austin, Donagh and Ray and everybody else enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a fantastic opportunity to do something like that for a change.
Mm-hmm. And like Gareth, like you were like kind of keeping the watch and briefing this. Was the old competitive spirit getting up between the guys? They were saying they weren't being timed officially, but was the watches being checked at the end of the stages?
I think there's a couple of stopwatches out there, all right, Kevin, yeah, for sure. But no, there's definitely, there's going to be competitiveness between the guys all the time, like they've rallied there for a number of years against each other, and they definitely still have that competitive streak in them. But I suppose to put it in a nutshell there with Rally Legends or with Sam Ramo was, what other rally would you get to see 2 600-odd brake rallycross cars being driven sideways on stages? It's just so spectacular. And it was great there to have everybody there. And as I said, it was a very friendly and good crack and banter and between everybody. And I'm sure there was a bit of slagging at the start of the stages like there has been before, yeah.
Yeah. And like Graeme, you showed me like a clip from the Misano racetrack. Like as Andrew said earlier, like the Formula 1 stars and whatever from previous years, like that was. You think a rally car on a track, it's not going to work, but it really did. It was something spectacular.
No, it was absolutely fantastic. I think what really made it was the way they had it running, that there was up to 5, 6, 7 cars on the track, same part of the track together. So if you watch the onboard, which I shared with you of Andrew's onboard, you're going up the outside of a Lancia Stratos and then coming up the inside of a Group A Subaru. It's just completely mental, all on the same part of the track. And it was the night time. The grandstand was absolutely packed. Certainly where we were, all the Italians, because obviously the San Marino was a little bit up in the hills. The racetrack was down near Rimini, so I suppose they put that on to bring the rallying even closer to those kind of towns that are nearby. And certainly there was a response to it, and the place was full. And it was really, really spectacular, and something I certainly really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. And James, is it alien driving on a track, as a rally driver, like having to overtake and watching the mirrors almost, in case anybody would be trying to come up on TV?
Well, obviously, Misano, the track was the first time this year, Kevin, for that. The norm is 3 stages on a Friday night. You do 1 in the light, and then you do 1 in the dark, and then you go for dinner to the castle. And it's a unique thing about Rally Legends is there's a meal every day. So on Friday evening, we did 1 stage in the country. We went out and did in Misano, and then there was a buffet meal upstairs in the hospitality area, which was an incredible thing to do. And I suppose just to finish on that, Kevin, it's brilliant because I've met Rory Kennedy over hundreds of times at rallies, and he hasn't time to talk to you, to be fair, because he's busy, he's seriously professional at what he does. The same with any of the drivers there. Your head is somewhere else. But that night, we spoke more, we laughed more. Rory was sending videos to his son or daughter in Australia. And, to see that atmosphere, we had it the following day then again in another venue where you had pizza or lasagna for lunch in the middle of the day provided by the club. And, that's the difference, I think. Here, when you're rallying, it's full on, it's times, it's boom, 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 boom. And then you finish rally, you want to get home. It's hard to credit over 3 days. I think we only did 80 kilometers. But by God, we had some fun. But to go back to Misano, I did quite a bit of karting, and I couldn't wait to get on. When we recce'd that the night before, I actually couldn't wait to get there. I said, this is going to be incredible. Now, I had watched that type of format in Monza the year of COVID when they ran around the championship there, fill gaps. And I thought it was incredible that you'd have all these cars passing each other and coming behind each other. Okay, in the World Championship level, there wasn't a lot of overtaking in Monza, but last weekend, it was incredible. And like the lad said, all kinds of everything. You're passing, watching the mirrors. It was brilliant. And the circus like a billiard table. I couldn't believe that you could create 3.4 miles like a billiard table. And that's exactly what it was. There wasn't one bump in it, to be fair. It's amazing.
Yeah. And Donagh, like the M3 was kind of developed for the tracks, the rally car come later, so it was almost a home ground for the M3.
Well, I don't know about the M3 being developed for the track, but my co-driver became like a psychopath, telling me not to brake and take the racing line and up the outside and forget about him, keep going, go. And we came off that track laughing for about 20 minutes. That was just fun. It really was something very, very different, but it was. I think everybody really enjoyed it, and again, maybe there's a lesson in that too, for us. And as James says, the service halts or whatever where they provide some food and the likes, and you get time to meet with people and chat, and yeah, it's just a very, very different type of event. There is no pressure, but yeah, the M3. I think it suited the circuit all right, and certainly suits an event like that, where you're wanting to have a bit of fun and throw it about. So, but yeah, and it's a brilliant car to drive. So yeah, it was good crack.
And Austin, from your point of view, you got to see Andrew Nesbitt relaxing a wee bit. Is he any different when he's chilled out compared to what he is like when he's getting fully wound up before the start of the stage?
Yeah, I was seeing he was chilled out all right for the rally, but he was definitely wound up for the Ireland All Blacks match on Saturday. But to answer your question, yeah, it was an enjoyable weekend. It is for the competitors, put on a show for the spectators and the thousands of people that's there. And our family was there, and so it's definitely good for that. People are an awful lot more relaxed, and they will be keeping checking times, and I think that the likes of Donagh and another guy called Michael Cullen will be really good at the track racing and Mondello and stuff like that, and they'll be keeping times on the racetrack, because the likes of Michael will be hoping that he'd wipe everybody's eye there. But I think Donagh actually beat him around the racetrack.
There's a wind up here. Again, we'll not get into the Beacon Hospital there.
You'd have the crack there. That somebody. So what time did you do that in? We did it. Was saying, I would say 10 minutes. And you say, we did it in 9:58. If you didn't think about was the work, they'll probably have to take it off 10 or 15 seconds off themselves before they gave you time. But that was part of the crack in it, and that so everybody would relax, from the service crews or anything, right, to all the competitors. When you see the likes of some of the Quattros that we knew back in the day, in the 80s and the 90s, and that, and to see that Pikes Peak car, just taken off the line, just spectacular, and stuff like that. But yeah, most enjoyable on that end, yeah.
Yeah, and even for yourself, you are a rally head behind it all too. So to see these cars again, to see the Quattro taking off the line, does it still put the shivers up your spine to see the likes of that?
Oh yeah, definitely. The old supercar or something else, and the WRCs and the current WRCs, obviously, what Jarri-Matti was doing, that was the only stuff we seen on that. I think Sardo was out as well. We didn't see him in the Hyundai, but the old cars, going from the Quattros to right across the board, they're all spectacular. Something else to watch, really, in a way.
Mm-hmm. And Gareth, to see those old cars being thrown, Donna's mentioned earlier about the Delta S4 being thrown down the road, given some willy and all that. These cars they're not show ponies. They are being driven to the limit.
Well, definitely, yeah. What you call it, the Quattros, and Donagh included there, driving the M3 around was spectacular to watch. He's full of the rack around the Irish corner and everything, and it was great to see these cars all been driven to the limits, and as I said there before, even the rallycross cars, 600 odd brake, and they have been driven to the limit by the two lads, and they're going in tangent behind one another. It was brilliant, and it's not something that you're going to see anywhere. And yeah, it's what you call it. It definitely was a great weekend,
Yeah, and Graeme, Cian Donellan, Killian, Cronin, and these guys, put the big push on for the Irish corner, and it really seemed to be a huge success.
It was absolutely brilliant. I mean, we, as with any rally, you're kind of racing from one stage to the next, but actually having that put on gave you sort of something to aim for. So we got down to it, and I was standing alongside Gareth and some of the MacHale crew. We could actually only get down to the far side of the hairpin, just above it, because the place was just packed. Now we could definitely get the full of the atmosphere, particularly now when the big Audi Quattro came through, and there was kind of a hole in the inside of the corner, and everybody was staying out, keeping clean. And he went that far into the inside of the corner, he actually was over the hole just like that there. Absolute madness. But no, in fairness to the lads, there was, as we all knew, a lot of people from home going out to spectate. We were chatting to a lot of them in service. We had a little corner with Thomas Fitzmaurice and their crew, and Austin and their crew. And as James said, there was kind of a couple of different separate areas with different groups, but the people were coming to chat, but actually getting everyone to the one corner to spectate was brilliant, and the atmosphere was just stone mad.
Yeah, and like Andrew, the family vibe, the Irish Rally family done us proud once again. Like there was no bad behaviour. There was a lot of drink obviously consumed, but it was all good fun.
Yeah, well, I had been drinking for 3 months. I was in full training, as Austin knows, for the event. And
make you any quicker.
For those who don't know, I always was getting good slagging here. But, as Graeme says, the Irish corner was brilliant. But I want to come back to what James said earlier. If we all collectively can go there again, I think we should have our own Irish quarter in the main arena where all the people come into. Now, it was Subaru very much, they had their own section this year, but I think we could have an Irish section with 8 or 10 competitors with the World Rally cars and the BMWs and the Mark II Escorts, all of the kit that was there, and add another 2 or 3 guys to it. As we had, young Fanning was there in the Skoda as well. And we had the S12 B or C, actually, I think, I believe it is. But we're coming back to the race circuit. The one thing that caught myself out, I was trying to pass a guy in a Lancia, whatever it was, and I kept staying to the right, thinking this guy's going to pull to the left. I didn't realise it was in the wrong country, because everybody passes in the left, not the right. And so once I learned that I was in the wrong part of the circuit, it sort of changed things for me. But the light of that circuit, you could see every metre of it, and the racing lines were there to be had. But the thousands of people up in the stands with their flares and their flashes and everything that went with it, it really set it out to be a different event for me. I would love to see us all going back out there again with the knowledge that we now have. James, you've been there before, and obviously you have that knowledge. So I would like to try and get a team of 10 or 12 people together for that event again and go at it. But maybe more importantly, we should consider how can we do this back in Ireland, because this is where we should be bringing this to the rally fans. And I'm just sitting here thinking, can we do it possibly around Donegal Airport, for example? I'm thinking of the Donegal stages, or around some big airfield where you could make a lot of things happen, because you do need that space for 140 cars. But you're bringing all the cars and all the drivers and navigators to the people. And it is a much kinder and softer way of getting to the people. And we had a great time as a result of that.
Yeah. And like, James, I'm going to throw that one at you. Is this something that, we know how fanatical Irish fans are. Like, this, this was on another level. Like, is it something that you could envisage bringing to Ireland, an Irish Rally Legends?
Well, funny thing you should ask, Kevin, because two years ago on the Rallies Commission, we mooted the idea of a legends section on maybe international rallies as a trial for a year. I mentioned it to Austin actually in San Marino, whereby on all international rallies next year, for example, that we could have 10 or 12 of the heroes of the sport. And look, not that anybody's 100 years older than any of us here on the screen, but to be fair, Andrew and Austin, as drivers, are legends of Irish motorsport, to be fair, right? And whilst they might be only 10 years older than you or whatever, but 10 years when you're 18 is a lot. 10 years when you're 15 is a hell of a lot. So, but I remember Austin MacHale in the black BMW doing the Circuit of Ireland, and we followed, and he damaged the wing of it down around Kilkenny somewhere. And I remember us following him in behind the Green Acre hub on the Dublin side of Carlow, and he baited the wing of it with a sledge inside there. And the control actually was on the South Circular Road, Austin, if I remember rightly. And I think the HQ was the Burlington. I don't know what year that was, but we were very young then following Austin in the circuit. And I suppose I'd love to see, from a rallying perspective in Ireland, I would love to see the lads over a certain age group, whatever that age group would be, in the cars they have, be it a Focus, be it a Metro, be it a BMW or whatever, and that there'll be 10 or 12 of them in every international rally in the country, having their own competition, maybe even over one day, because I know they like to enjoy themselves in the nighttime. So it mightn't be fair to have them out over 2 days. So I'd love to see something like that, Kevin, and maybe that's achievable. We've had a lot going on over the last 2 years with 24-month calendars and lots of things that has transformed the sport in Ireland. So, but it is certainly on the agenda to be discussed, whereby we could maybe have 10 or 12 of cars of that caliber of a certain age group on international events, hopefully over the next year or two. And it would be great to get the lads back out, and because people do want to see them. They still, though they were very young maybe at the time, the current generation of the younger generation following, but they still know the Austin MacHales, the Andrew Nesbitts, and Donagh Kelly, obviously, and Rory.
And like Donagh, like we had it in Donegal in 2022, to celebrate the 50th anniversary, and like we had the legends there. Like the buzz around that day was just, it's going to be one of them days. It's going to live long in the memory of anybody that was there. Like there is an appetite out there for this type of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a huge interest, and that's the thing about Rally Legends. It wasn't just all about the competition or the speed of that. It was just the whole ability to access the drivers, the cars. Myself and Rory were going into the last stage, and I think Andrew was parked behind us. There was this little girl came over, says she wanted a photograph. She's probably in her late teens, and I says, fine, jump into the car. And she got into the car and she started to cry. And then her dad started to cry. And in their broken English, they were telling us about, what this meant to them to be able to, and like that passion, and it was like, you're just going, this place is just crazy, and that type of atmosphere, it's not just about people witnessing a car going past at high speed. It's the ability to come and talk to the drivers and see the cars up close, etc. That's part, and again, it's relaxed in the sense that if you're in the middle of the service park and you want to do a burnout, you're not going to get thrown out of the rally for it. So long as you're not daft, and you're not reckless. But and it is that type of kind of environment that gives the fans a little bit of excitement,
Yeah, and Andrew, go back to Donegal in 2022. You were part of that day. The crowds that gathered up in the Rossapana Hotel. It was that kind of vibe. Very relaxed. Is at the dinner on the Saturday night, done the couple of the stages on the Sunday. And there was something very special about that day. The crowds that lined the stages, Vincent Bonner in Shima said it was like going back to 1983 for them. There is an appetite out there for this type of thing in Ireland as well, I do believe.
Yeah, well, I think the secret for Rally Legends in San Marino was they kept everything tight and brought the people to the centre. And the running track, you could see all of the cars, and people were allowed to go in there and take photographs with the cars, with the drivers, with the navigators. And so it was like a park ferry that was open to everyone, rather than locked away from everyone. And I think that's a big difference with this. Yes, we all appeared in Donegal a couple of years ago, but I think we could do this on an annual basis. And I've no doubt we would pull spectators from around the world, particularly Europe. It's only a 2-hour flight into Dublin now from most of these places. And likewise for us going out there, best thing I've ever done. And I think Austin would agree with me. We'd like to do it again.
Austin,
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Definitely enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And you have tasted this, the Italian in San Remo event. is it something that you would like to see come to Ireland and have her? Because like, how passionate are our own spectators here? You know, like, there's probably every bit as much passion in Ireland as there is anywhere else in Europe.
I think all we have to do is get 100 chainsaws lined up and get the chains off them.
The hairpin and Knockalla.
And some flair for Latvala, especially that Will Hers Bend. Austin,
Yeah.
you and I both knew that one.
Probably better than me.
Well, I agree to give Austin credit here. He holds the Irish rally license longer than any of us, 52 years. That is some length of time to be competing, Austin. I'm giving that with credit.
Where did you get that figure? Where did you get that figure from?
You and I were standing at the bar.
Would you believe that? I tell you.
Austin, he's
And it's still an
counting
international license.
he's counting the trophies behind you, Austin. That's what he's counting the trophies.
No, they're only football ones. I'll bring it down to the bar and show you the photographs. Yeah. No, it's true. Like, my license is one of the first. I'd say the numbers 172, and when I was picking it up for last weekend, it was a compliment to be paid to me in Motorsport Ireland. That is one of the oldest that they have there. You know, which is not too bad.
Yeah.
Well done.
And like,
Yeah.
Austin, sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
That's amazing. That man's been competing for 52 years.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world can take their hat off to that.
What does that make me now, Andy?
Well, you started very young.
Good answer.
But Austin, like, do you think would there be an appetite out there in Ireland for this type of event to come here?
Well, I think, it's obvious from the amount of Irish people that went over to San Marino, it's huge. And okay, the fact that Donagh, Andy, and ourselves, and James, obviously, the Irish industry was there, that would brought a big help for them to come over. And I think, to answer your question for here, of course there is. I think that was proven in Donegal a couple of years ago, and had the legends, and they ran a couple of the stages there, and I think there were huge people on Glen. They waited for the stage to go down Glen, and a lot of the lads thought the stage was going to run Glen, but Glen was cancelled. And they ran another stage. I can't remember what stage. You remember
Atlantic Drive, Atlantic Drive and Gareth.
Atlantic Drive was run, and there was another stage replaced Glen. I think Atlantic Drive. Was it?
Yeah.
But there's a huge interest in that. I think that was proven in Rossapena, the hotel, and the amount of people that came for that. But overall, yes, I think it would be an addition to the rallies here, because I think the rallies here now have got an awful lot, especially the national championship rounds and the recce on the Saturday and whatever, the rally on the Sunday. And I'm not complaining, there's nothing wrong with it, but as soon as the rally's over, like the rally finished at the end of the last stage, and that's it. Everybody gathers up their tools and their vehicles and heads, and it's much the same really at the internationals. In the older days, we used to have the prize giving, the same as Donegal still has, and I think Killarney was the same at the end of the event, which is good for the crowds, and a lot of the crowds would meet the competitors rather than wouldn't have seen them during the event. They go to the prize giving, and that's so it's a more personal thing there. But yeah, I think that to run a Legends event, or maybe 2 or 3, maybe a Donegal, Killarney, that sort of thing, would be very good idea.
Yeah, and like Rory, like from your point of view, we've talked about this before. Like the atmosphere in the Rossapena on that Sunday evening was something else. Like it was real throwback to the 80s and 90s kind of vibe about it. And like, there has to be something out there to yes, the new generation cars are fantastic. The guys driving them are probably going as hard as I've ever driven in any era here. But there is still that hankering after the older style cars.
Yeah, for sure, Kevin. I must say, and I was there as well as yourself that day at Rossapena. It was one of those golden moments. It was an absolute incredible moment in rally time when you had all those drivers and all those cars that Donagh had provided, and that moment there to capture that. Sadly, it wasn't made of that, unfortunately, that day, but. Still, no, it just goes to show what can be done if there's enough determination and effort put into it. This Rally Legends, a very unique event. Like, I've obviously done a lot of events, and I've never really come across anything at all similar to this. But to try and emulate that somewhere at home, it's something that if you got the powers to be involved, there's nothing that can't be done that's well worth looking into. Because one of the other most important parts about this event was, don't forget that you had Jarri-Matti Latvala walking around the place, and very, very approachable sort of guy, and quite happy to talk to all the fans. You had Danny Sordo, a current world rally driver who's available, and as Donagh will tell you, he spent more time down with us and our team looking at our car, because I think he's one of these VMs ordered as well. You had Andrea Adamo, who was the ex-Hyundai team principal. He was there, a very controversial figure. You had Kankkunen, Nicky Grist, Dave Richards, Jimmy McRae. I mean, it was the royalty of rally, and they were all there, and everybody very approachable and quite happy to give you their time. So a combination of the cars, the drivers, and everything is what makes that event so unique.
Yes, for sure. And like Graeme, like from your point of view, everywhere you look, as Rory just said there, rally and royalty, like, was it the pinch yourself moments every now and again, looking around and seeing who was there?
It was absolutely brilliant just from that side of it. I mean, just quick story about Danny Sordo. The night stage on the Friday, they sent the two basically double O's up. They weren't calling them double O's, but your boy Diana in the 131, and there was a guy from San Marino in an M3. And as soon as the course cars went through, the spectators, Gareth was there as well. The spectators just moved forward with 30 foot to the side of the road. And I'm talking on the road, and the flares, and it was, I think we were calling it right 26 around flare, because there was a flare right on the apex of the corner. And so they sent, those two guys from San Marino, who are, like, I think acknowledged as insane, and there's plenty of footage of them on YouTube. But the third car into the stage was actually Danny Sordo in the Hyundai. And to see the latest spec World Rally car, the top car that's out there, with one of the top drivers in the world over the last 10 years, coming up into that junction, and the guys were practically slapping the back quarter panels, and he was absolutely flat out. And where else would you get that? It is just, that was certainly a pinch yourself moment for me, because like, we were looking at it from Irish eyes going, this stage is going to be cancelled, and sure enough, they had to restrict it a bit, because it was probably a little bit over the edge. But one of the cars that took that stage at 10/10 was Danny Sordo. I just thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. And Gareth, on your competitor head on you, watching what you've seen, like, Austin and Andrew talking about going back next year, would you like to get a car? Would you like to take the Polo out, or would you like to try and get something with a wee bit of history to take out and do the event?
I think Graeme is after admitting he was doing gravel notes there. Was he doing it right? 6 round flare. I know what to call it. Yeah, no, look, listen, it's a year away there, but yeah, we definitely would love to go over there and compete. Just to experience it from the inside, and that's one thing I have to say there, that Matthew has put on the cameras there on Dad's car as well, and he just sent us on one of them so far, and it was great just to see from the driver's point of view and what it was like there to go through the stages, and it is definitely spectacular, and because of that, you definitely want to go and have a run in it, definitely 100%. Yeah, sure, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Graeme, just come back to you, like Matthew, that car, that halo, the camera, like going into the junctions, you can hear the crowd, you can almost taste the flares coming through the screen. Like, it is surreal even watching the M car or the one car.
It is pretty raw, and that's hopefully now we'll be able to share some of that footage on YouTube over the next week or so, and the few snippets that we have shared around, I think, has gone down pretty well. So I know Matthew will be flat out this week getting some of that uploaded to YouTube, and similar to what we did with the 06 footage recently, get it out there, because at the end of the day, people love to see it. And I think you'll certainly see, as you saw, you can hear the air horns, you can hear the fans roaring, you can see the fireworks. It's just mental.
Mm-hmm. And like Donagh, like from your point of view, going through, the smoke and all coming off them flares and all, like, is that, like, is there a part of your head going, am I back in the 80s, or is this today?
I think it's just the buzz that it creates. You feel kind of alive when you come off the end of the stage, because when you see fans as hyper and as enthusiastic as that, you feel good about the whole thing, So it's just such a buzz, and it's here. I wouldn't like to be competitive as in being on the clock, because the distractions of these guys jumping in on top of you on some of the corners certainly would have been on a show. They're going bonkers, you know. So yeah, I'm glad that you're there in a non-competitive type way, because you can really enjoy it. You can really lap it up and embrace it, you know. So, but yeah, I can't imagine what it must have been like back in the 80s when you had to be competitive driving through a sea of people, you know. So, and I suppose, look, the one thing we can't downplay is the whole safety side and that. And as much as we're talking about it being bonkers, I don't think any of it was unsafe. There was a stage that was restricted, as the guy said, on the Friday night, where the crowds got too big, and we just had to drive through, you know. So it's not reckless, you know, but I think the enthusiasm sometimes spills over a bit, you know. So, but it's great.
Yeah.
And in fairness, Donagh, just on that point, the organisers did come out on the Saturday morning with a very strong statement, you know, and the rest of the weekend ran absolutely impeccably after that. It's a very, very well run event. I think, as you said, just the emotion and the excitement. I think we all know the Italians are fairly excitable at the best of times, but you know, midnight on a Friday night up the top of that mountain, the emotion was high. So, but a brilliantly run event, in all fairness.
Mm-hmm. And like Donagh, I think you're going to have to get a 2-car team out next year. I think Eamon's itching to get going as well.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of debate as to, we were talking about a Fiesta, we were talking about a Focus, and then we had a new driver came onto the team late, a very, very late entry on Sunday morning about 4 o'clock on a scooter. We had Enda Canigo join our team, so I think he'll need something with plenty of protection.
He took the bet anyway, Donagh.
And James, your 4th time this year. So, by the sound of things, I think you're going back for a 5th time next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's the plan, and most definitely, if all the lads are going to go, and if we could have maybe whatever 8-10 cars there, would be great. And like the lad said, get our own service area. I suppose just to recap on one thing, Kevin, and the lads have touched on it about the heroes of the sport and all that were there. But you know what I noticed about it is actually everybody that's driving a rally car there, no matter what it is, let it be Danny or Jarri or Austin or Donagh or myself or the guy in the Fiat 127, they're actually all treated with the same respect. Would you believe that, from the fans? You know, you get the same reaction to the 127 as you do to Danny Sordo in the World Car, as you do to the Focus or the Escort or the VM. And that's a weird thing. You know, you go to a rally here and they watch the top 25 cars and there's a flood of people leave. Like, we were there on Tuesday. I think we went out, but first recce was Tuesday, first look at the stages. And there were a number of motorhomes and tents and barbecues being set up on Tuesday. Now, the event wasn't starting until Friday. So it just gives you an idea of, you know, that's the passion. It's amazing. So yeah, I definitely will go back. We're just looking maybe to see, is there something else as well similar, because I don't want to be competitive in Ireland anymore in a Mark II Escort. Personally, you can compete with the younger generation, you know, a 25-year-old inside in the Mark II Escort today, even though the cars may be similar. So, and I don't want to necessarily compete with them anyway. So if you could pick maybe 2 or 3 events or 4 events like that in a year that you could do, be one of them in Ireland and 3 of them abroad or whatever, yeah, I would certainly love to be involved, most definitely.
Yeah. And Rory, like, for a spectator's point of view, get it booked and get out there next year?
I was just thinking about that as you were discussing it there, you know, that everybody's all up for it again. So there could be a huge influx next year. I'm sure you'll be putting your name down yourself, Kevin. I think you're well buzzed by the whole
Yes.
by the whole response that you've heard from all us boys, and also from like the huge amount of Irish people who were there over the weekend was incredible. And I would say we got to meet them all. If we didn't meet them at the rally, we met them in the pubs afterwards. Like, so. And on Saturday night, it was all sort of on Saturday night when Ireland were playing the All Blacks. We were all in the pub, and the entire pub was supporting Ireland. Like, but unfortunately, that didn't come so good for us. But we didn't disappoint with a good enough night celebrating ourselves afterwards.
Yeah, and like Andrew, you become a kind of like an internet sensation, you know, with Johnny Sexton getting a selfie with you and the rugby in Paris. Like, was it a bit of a come down then, the result against New Zealand then?
No, I'm still getting royalties from Mr. Tato for photographs. So that'll pay for my tires.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was a bit disappointed there wasn't Tato in the car.
No, but I would like to come back to something. I think a shakedown stage before any of our rallies at home would leave the events much safer. We all were able to have a shakedown stage before the main event started, and I think it was a fantastic thing to do because people were getting dialed into their cars and their tires and making sure that there was no niggly problems along the way. And I think Austin would agree with me in that. We both had little small items that we needed to adjust to be ready for the competition the next day. And I think it's something that we should consider doing. And, you know, around that, you could then have the night stage and the buzz starting a night earlier.
Mm-hmm. And, like, you know, this, you know, we talked about bringing the rally into the people, you know, instead of having the service area all the way out. I know it's so difficult to get somewhere big enough, but to have a service area way out in the industrial estate on the outskirts of town, if there's any way, shape or form that can be brought into the people, do it.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, all you need is a big stadium and make it all happen and allow the spectators in to see the cars. We have a tendency to go into Park Fermi and lock everybody out. I think we can learn a big lesson from that and let everybody in and have a look at the cars. It's in a controlled environment anyway. And it'll bring more energy to motorsport in Ireland if we do that.
Maybe make the King of the Cone the first stage of the Donegal Rally next year.
Austin, we'll leave the final word to yourself. Like, you know, you've got the taste of the Rally Legend now. Has it sparked, you know, has it lit the fire again? Could we see the MacHale name back on the entry list and maybe behind the wheel of the Focus?
Well, sure, we'll have a chat with, as I call him, the welder. Over the Christmas they're coming up here. I wouldn't mind getting I never drove the 06 car. I said it was Gareth's car there for the World Championship till last weekend, apart from one of the deja vus they did with Adam, who were here beside me. But I wouldn't say no, and I wouldn't mind doing you know, either national round like a Galway or a Donegal, you know, before we're all just got past it all together. When we still have our competitions nights that we're capable of driving the cars competitively. The only thing that I would add is that to do something like San Marino, I would think rather than basing it with a rally here, an international here like the Clarins or the Donegal I said earlier, was maybe on a one-off on a particular place and just for the legends of the cars only and have the rallycross cars and have all the rest of the business and take maybe a leaf out of the book for that, because I think it's very hard if you have 130, 140 cars doing the likes of Killian, Delecour or Tarmac or National Championship rounds to try and bring this in and run it on the same event would probably be hard to do.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would say, about last weekend was the mosquito farm that was there. We all got destroyed, and don't know whether it's the fair skin or what it is, but there was everybody got mosquito bites, and then to really put the cap on it was getting defeated by the All Blacks and Sardites. But the crowd of people that was in the pub that we'd organised, a pub hotel, and I think there's probably about 3,000 people there, and of that 3,000 people, there's probably the best part of 2,000 people Irish or associate Irish, you know, which is brilliant. So,
yeah.
Fantastic.
I think the mosquitoes like the beer. I think that's what they're.
Yeah. And was it good to sort of relight the rivalry between yourself and Andrew one more time again as well?
It is, like, you know, it was always where we were both friends, you know, like, I mean, God rest with Bertie, you know, was part of the scene over the years, and Frank Marr, them lads are gone, and even back to James was saying there back with the M3, and that was actually in the Circuit of Ireland, and that was going on with Colin McRae, and unfortunately he's gone as well, you know, so you know, it's great to see a lot of us left there and for the sport, and even last weekend with Jimmy was there, and Alistair, which is his son, and then Max, the grandson, you know, so like we were more or less the same, that I was there and the sons were there and grandson was there as well, you know, there's one of them still here with me all the time. Just stick your head in there for a minute.
Well, Adam.
The bushy head.
AJ. That AJ.
Adam.
Yeah, I want to talk to you there for a sec. Why don't I just move out here? Can you get him in there?
Yeah.
No, come on, no.
Yeah. So this is the next generation of MacHale then that's getting ready for the stages?
Yeah, he's a madly enthusiast, but he's a very good GAA player as well. So we have to make a decision which is the right road to go. But you know, he's brilliant for the motorsport, and he loves the motorsport. He loves doing the mud nose for his uncle, and was over there the weekend. We didn't need to do any mud nose because there's no rain, so that's the first thing you can get a chance to get out for that.
It was only Nesbitt that had the gravel crew, was it? I really can't express, how good that was for me. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. Like, to spend an hour in those guys' company is just surreal. This is what the podcast is really all about: getting the opportunity to do things like this, Conor.
Absolutely. That as you say, that was the whole genesis behind the podcast. It was a chance to sit down and talk to the heroes of rallying and share the stories. And this is great because this is something fresh. We're talking to our heroes here, but with a new story, with a new tale to tell, and a bit of new rivalry as well.
Yeah, and to hear their enthusiasm, guys that have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and for them to go and experience this new challenge, this new adventure, and to see the joy it brought to them too. That's class. So I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did recording it. So that is the Rallylegend special. Can you please like, share, rate, subscribe, comment? All those things makes a huge difference. Keep doing what you're doing. Really appreciate it. Until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.
Special thanks to all the photographers and video guys and girls that provided content there as well at the start and end of this episode. Especially to thank Barry and Margaret Murphy from Digital Motorsport Images, Glenn Montgomery from Holder Flat Videos, Graeme Nesbitt and Grace O'Brien, Cian Donellan and Killian Cronin. Thanks a lot, guys.